Impact Teams Radio. Welcome to Impact Teams Radio, the show where we explore what it takes to be a leader of the leaders in corporate America. Get ready to be inspired and discover proven tips for going from average to exceptional. Now, here's your host and guide, Tony Sherman.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Impact Teams Radio. I'm your host and guide, Tony Sherman, and today we have with us Roger Grannis. But before we bring Roger on, I want to remind listeners that a regular contributor to the show, Jim Bone, has released his book, Architects of Change. The link is in his current episode. You should get over there, have a look at the book. It's getting a lot of solid feedback, and I think it's a great book. I was very fortunate to get a pre-release copy of it, and yeah, it's definitely got a lot of usable insights straight away. So recommendation is pop over to Amazon and have a look for Jim's book. So, without more ado, let's bring on our guest, Roger Grannis. Hello, Roger.
Hey, Tony, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Roger, I've butchered your surname twice now. I said Grannis and Grannis. How do you pronounce it?
You have it right. It's Grannis, Grannis, like Sam. Just a funny story on that. After my father passed away, the San Francisco Chronicle mistyped his obituary. So instead of Roland Grannis, he went out Rolando. So, hey, there's humor in everything, I think.
I think there is, yes. So, Roger, let me step away from the mic just for a second or two and ask you to introduce yourself to our listeners so they get a sense of who you are. Just a potted history of your life to date, as it were.
Yeah, sure, Tony. The quick story is I've spent about 25 years or so in corporate America, working for various corporations, McGraw-Hill, and then a lot of time at Gartner, which is a technology research company. Spent a lot of time in sales. Then I ran sales training at Gartner. And then out of that, I've developed a training product that we actually turned into a revenue maker, which, like your show, Tony, is still going. I'm not hosting it now. I'm working for myself. But it did become a podcast called Talking Technology and a several $1 million a year generator. I think it's now in about its 20th year. So my passion is helping people communicate messages clearly, concisely, and in an engaging and sometimes entertaining way.
So, Roger, I have to talk to you about making multi-million-dollar podcasts, but maybe we'll leave that for another episode. So, interesting. I would always see that as Gartner as like a go-to place to work, just because you're always with leading ideas and analysis of the field. Were you in that part of the work where you were always on the bleeding edge of the thinking?
I was on the outside of the thinkers. Gartner was and is an incredibly stimulating, fast-paced environment to work. Lots of smart people, lots of small people too, lots of, and maybe that's why I'm not there anymore, Tony. I was too small. Lots of smart people, very opinionated people. It was a fantastic ride. I was there 17 years. I started out in 1987. I think the revenues then were about $25 million, and when I left, they were about $850. And I think now they're heading for the $2 billion mark. So great place to be. And I was actually listening to one of your prior guests. And, you know, you stay at corporations when there's a match between your skills, your passion, and what you're getting back, not in terms of just financial reward, but are you still growing? And I hit a point where I was not a cultural fit anymore. I'm an energetic, fun person. Gartner became much more structured. Everything's measured. A lot of McKinsey people working there now and running it, which is serving them well. And that is just not Roger Grannis. I'm more fun, freewheeling, and don't want every last minute of my day measured in such precise terms. So I think, you know, as a message to the listeners, when you are working in a company or looking for work, you need to find not only a place where you have the skills and can do the job, but is it a cultural fit also? And Gartner was early on for me, and as it became bigger and more structured, in fact, most of my colleagues and I went out on our own to start things or find more entrepreneurial type companies.
I think you raise a great point there, Roger, because what you're saying is just because something fits you now doesn't mean it will in 5 years' time. And that doesn't make either side bad. It doesn't make you inept or incompetent, and it doesn't make them wrong. It just says the cultures have drifted.
That is spot on. And while I'm a firm believer in lifetime commitment when it comes to, let's say, marriage and personal commitments, from a working perspective, it's really hard to be at a company where you know it just ain't a good fit anymore. And so what do? You start making mistakes, you slack off, you're depressed, you're bored. It's in America, you really have to take charge of your own career. And when you have that icky feeling, you've got to take steps to maybe see a career counselor, maybe do some soul searching, sharpen the resume, really think about who you are and what drives you, and then go find your next target. I just did a training last year. I'm not going to mention the company. But just walking in this group, it was just a major downer. These people did not want to be there. The business was not good. I mean, just even the smell, physically, the smell of the office, it just smelled dusty. And I'm thinking, you people, you're in a city in the southern part of America that's booming. Get your resume out there. Do something else. You're not doing yourself or the company a favor. So, yes, to your point, there does come a time when it's not a match. It's not your fault. It's not the company's fault. It's just you've grown apart. It's not a fit. Take responsibility. Do something else.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where in my career, I've noticed a pattern where I help entrepreneurial companies grow to the point that I don't like working for them. I put the structure in place. I help them mature to the level that, like you're saying, the McKinsey kind of level. And then once you get there, I don't like it.
Absolutely.
I know it's the next thing, but I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got the confidence and the experience to know that, hey, I'm going to move on to the next thing. Life is going to be good. This isn't a bad thing. Let's go find the next thing. I've stepped out of my corporate job to do fun things now and then, comedy, creative writing, acting, and then I come back in. And during those times that I've been out, I said, I don't want a difficult job. I'm just going to take whatever job is out there to kind of pay the bills. They've all been complete disasters because I wasn't motivated to be there. So you end up having a conversation with the boss, and they say something like, hey, are you happy here, or is this still a good match? And you both know it's not a good match. And
pretty much when that conversation is happening, so enough signals have gone up that you both know the answer.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, when I said, you know what, I'm successful, I've been successful, I want to find the right match, and I've waited and done that analysis of who's Roger Grannis, what does he like to do, what's going to get him excited next. Every time I've done that, I've ended up being, top producer, good financial reward, and super satisfied from a career perspective. So doing that self-analysis and spending the time to research companies, even locations that get you fired up, it's worth putting that effort in because it really pays off.
And are there tools and techniques out there that you would recommend to our listeners if someone's like perked up at the moment, think, yeah, that's pretty much where I am. I need let's say a career audit. What kind of tools and techniques do you recommend?
Well, I'll tell you what's worked for me. I have not paid professional coaches. I do think they serve a purpose and are a great resource. In fact, actually, I have used more formal outplacement resources in the past, so those are good. So I'm sorry, I'm giving you mixed signals here. Let's just make a list. Number one, if you are on your own, hiring a career coach is good. Make sure it's not some, hey, let's go win one for the Gipper and let's do it. You can do it. Go start an ice cream shop down on what have you. There's got to be some discipline and structure to it. So I'd get some references and really find the right one. There are formal outplacement agencies like a Right Management. They've got lots of resources and counselors who can help folks. I tell you what's worked best for me, though, is locking myself in a room with my laptop, or back in the day before laptops, before I found Gartner, I locked myself in California at the Alameda County Business Library. I just read stuff for 3 days straight. Anything that jumped out, like companies, jobs, fields, growing industries, I made a circle around that, looked for patterns, and as it turns out, Gartner came up on the list because I had sold technology books before. Gartner was selling technology information. It was listed as one of the fastest growing companies. It was based in Connecticut, where my wife is from and wanted to move. Turns out the guy I ended up working for went to high school with my wife. So the stars were really aligned. So I think those formal and informal resources are there, but there's nothing better than listening to your gut. Hey, what gets you excited? What gets you charged up? It's a fast-growing company. It's a certain type of work. It's a location. If you can find that spark, you bring that into the company. They feel it. They feel, here's somebody that's fired up to be here. Let's get him in. The first time that happened to me found an ad in the San Francisco Chronicle, typed on good old-fashioned newspaper. It's back in the early 80s. There's a guy named Adam Osborne. He actually invented the first portable computer.
I was saying,
you remember him?
You said Adam Osborne. I was like, okay, I remember those huge luggables.
Yeah, the suitcase. So before that, he had a publishing company selling computer books, and I was like, because I had done the analysis, I like books. I'd worked for a library service before. I like books. I liked the booming, taking off personal computing industry. So I walked in, fired up, and he put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Bring this guy back. He's in." So anyway, yeah.
So although we're not following our normal interview format, you've actually alluded to a number of wins and approaches that you have to making sure that you win, which I think is very valuable. Let's look at the flip side to this, though. When in your career have you had a major loss that's helped you shape your leadership and helped you to learn from it?
Well, two. One is, and they're mirror images of each other. One is taking the wrong job. As I mentioned, when I wasn't that motivated to do the work and I was more motivated by personal interests, I ended up at companies where I wasn't motivated, and the end to those. On the flip side, it's hiring people. I have hired the wrong people, and that is a very difficult, unpleasant experience. So I'm a trusting person. I like to think the best of people. And so actually when I was launching this podcast at Gartner, it grew so fast the first year I got budget to hire 2 people. And I thought there were actually 2 people at the company that had not had success and might have been on their way out. And I thought, I can save the world. I can bring out the best of anybody. Let's give these people a chance. And one of the people worked out great. He's still there, traveling all over Europe as a product manager. Fantastic. The other person, my gut said maybe a good person, it's not a good fit. And yet somebody had stopped by my desk and said, you got to hire this person and so forth. And that turns out there had been a romantic interest between the two, so the motive wasn't pure. And long story short, it just wasn't a good match. And I thought, here, I've done you a favor. You're not working out. So after the end, lawsuits and dragging through the mud and so on and so forth. So I think the cliche is hire slow, fire fast. So the lesson I learned is you really need to think about the qualifications you need, the qualities of the person, and really hire the right person. Now, in fact, the second thing is you've got to know yourself. So for me, I'm this wild, freewheeling person, I actually need to hire or have somebody do me a favor of saying, listen, I need somebody more disciplined to help me think clearly as I hire somebody, because I know I just trust people too quickly, and then once you're into a relationship, it's bad for everybody. So
absolutely, yeah. Actually, the funny thing is, when I take over large projects, the first hire I make is like a right-hand person who's very detail-oriented and really cares that everything aligns perfectly and there's no gaps, because that's not me. I'm a broad brush kind of person, and if I don't find someone to complement my weaknesses, then I can get myself into a lot of trouble at high speed. I used to hire people who were like me because it was fun, but I found that just accelerated disaster.
That you couldn't have said it better. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, you need to be confident enough to know what your strengths are, and to fill those gaps with other folks. That's great advice, Tony. Next time I'll interview you. Get your tips.
So obviously you've had a long and successful career, and you're not afraid to step in and step out of corporate America as your life requires it. On all of that path, how have you grown as a leader? Did you have formal mentors? Did you have situational mentors? Did you learn from books? How did you grow your leadership skills?
Good question. I would have to say that in corporate America, there is a lack of good mentors. I think the whole mentoring process could be improved. Now, maybe that's just because, like you, the companies I have chosen to work for are more entrepreneurial in nature, and people are moving a mile a minute, and their philosophy is, hey, figure it out or you're at the wrong company. That's what Gartner was at the beginning. Figure it out on your own. So now as I step back, though, and think about your question, I have pieced together a mentorship program, if you will, by pulling a little bit of information from person X and another from person Y. I think taking classes outside the company is a great way to learn new skills and to be around a person, the instructor, the professor, whoever, who is dedicated to teaching a skill and doesn't have any political ties to you or to the company. My personal experience has been you have to cobble it together on your own. Now, I do work for a mega large corporation now as an outside consultant, and I have to say they have a fairly disciplined mentorship structure. Personally, I could not work it. It's too formal and rigid. But gosh, I love the checks that they send me to do the work. So I guess I've said two things. There's a lack of mentorship, and yet this other one's got extreme mentoring. So I think you've got to find a company that fits you. And if you're on the entrepreneurial end of the scale, be prepared to cobble together your own mentoring. I think one of the best mentors I had was a sales trainer out in San Francisco in the early 80s. I took a class. He said, "Oh, you're really good in front of people, Roger. Love to have you be an instructor." And this guy, man, he was like a fanatic about how we set up the chairs. You've got to know your material, how much you practice it, and so forth. So that disciplined approach was very helpful to me, and it happened to be outside the company where I was working also, which was a win. It's sort of like people who play musical instruments. The students in, let's say, middle school and high school, those who hire an outside teacher, they take private lessons in addition to the band practice, tended to do a lot better.
Actually, that's a very good analogy, and I think it boils down to being willing to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep.
Because ultimately, we own our own career path, no matter what goes on.
We really do. And, this was one of the problems with the person I had to let go at Gartner. this person's philosophy was, what are you doing to help me? What do I need to do next? Show me the way. And that, for the most part, what I've seen in corporate America is that's not the way it works. You've really got to take ownership of your own career path. And to tie that together with music, so when I was in the 8th grade, I played the clarinet, and in fact, the guitarist in our stage band was Neil Sean, the lead guitarist of the band Journey. Well, that's another story. But this woman, I lived in the suburbs of San Francisco, but she came down from the city. She drove a red Corvette, and she was great. One day I said, I'd forgotten that Wednesday was band day, and she said, Roger, where's your clarinet? I said, oh, it's at home. Like it's an excuse, I guess I'll just sit this one out. She says, great, we're getting in my car, we're going to go get it. So literally, in the middle of class, she took me outside, we got in a red Corvette, drove the 6 blocks to my house, got the clarinet, and brought it back. That's the approach you need to take with your own career. You've got to have no excuses, get in the car, and make it happen on your own.
Oh, I love that. You tied that story in perfectly. Well done. Roger, I've just looked up and seen the time. We're already out of time. Thank you so much for an exciting episode.
Thank you, Tony.
So what I'd like to say is, would it be possible for us to continue this, talking through other sort of leaderships and taking a deep dive in some subject in a later episode?
Absolutely. I'd love to do it.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So Impact Nation, you got a lot of information there. You know what I'm going to say. Take one nugget that we've learned from Roger today, put it in your toolbox, practice it for 6 months, and my guarantee to you is you'll be a better leader in 6 months' time than you are today. So until next week, Impact Nation, this is Tony Sherman saying, enjoy yourself. Bye for now.
That's it for this week. Thank you for listening. Now go and apply these few gems. Make the wisdom you have heard your own. If you want to be part of our launch success, then please go to impactteamsradio.com/love and tell the world. If you want more and never want to miss a beat, please go to impactteamsradio.com/subscribe. If you have 3 minutes, we would love to see a positive review on iTunes. And until next time, remember to act on what you've learned, and you'll be ahead of most of the world. Impact Teams Radio.